Is voting really important? Short answer, yeah. Long answer, kind of depends on when you put in all the different factors, where you live, what you grew up in, all that type of stuff. But in the United States presidential election, your vote absolutely matters. I wrote notes because I didn't want my words to be misconstrued. But to be honest with y'all, I understand that there's people out there who just want to argue because they want to argue and they don't have information. They just want to say how they feel. And that's cool. As long as you go out and vote, bro. But I'm getting sick and tired of people saying that voting doesn't matter or they don't want to vote. Especially when you look at everything going on in the political climate today in the United States. I will say though, there's so many people and celebrities advocating for voting, but at the same time, if you tell somebody who you're voting for, it's not who you want to vote for, now it's an argument, now you're stupid, you gotta tear them down, this whole long debate. No. You gotta respect somebody's right and their choice, whoever it is they want to vote for. So, I'm not gonna tell anybody who to vote for in this video. I can't do that, and I'm gonna accept whoever it is people want to vote for. We'll make another video next week when we get some numbers in on who it looks like gonna be voting, because the presidential election most likely will not be determined by the end of next week with all the mail-in voting. Now, when it comes to voting, let me just try to give y'all some things that I've noticed, especially when it comes to the two major political parties in the United States. You have one political party who's trying to enforce rules and create laws to, increase voter suppression. And they don't want you to vote. They're trying to do everything in their power to discount votes and make sure that your vote may not even count, or you may not have the right to vote, or you might be registered but you moved and you didn't put in your new address, and now they're doing all these different things to make sure that you don't vote. Then you have another political party who's trying to get everybody to vote and say they'll do what everybody wants. Yo, you trying to do that? Yo, what you want, the green stuff? Yo, we want to take care of the earth? Yeah, we're going to do that. What's that? You want some tax breaks? All right, yeah, we're going to do that. Yeah, you want none of that? All right, we're going to do that. Like, they trying to please everybody, and ultimately, if they ever get in power, they're not going to please everybody. Then they're going to turn off voters who want to vote for them in the future, and then they're going to lose power. So you have one party trying to satisfy everybody, and then you have one party who's just trying to satisfy themselves. And in the game of politics, you're not getting everything you want, because politicking ultimately is just compromising. I'm going to do a little bit of this, you're going to do a little bit of that. That's all politicking is, it's just compromising. So getting exactly what you want isn't inherently behind the idea in politics. When dealing with politics, isn't directly the incentive behind politics, to be honest with you, in my opinion. But when you vote, you should look up the issues that matter to you and your stance on it, and find the candidates who you like, who represent your values, and vote for those people. And then when they get in office, or whenever they're in office, you hold them accountable to the things that you want done. That's what you're supposed to do. I understand. It's annoying. I get it. It's mad annoying. Call up numbers and, hey, you gotta do this. If you're an American citizen, it is your responsibility to vote. And I understand responsibilities are annoying. I get it. But it's just so moronic to me that there's people who complain about the state of the country, yet do absolutely nothing to try to influence it, stop it, or change it. And trust me, I get it. Voting isn't the ultimate thing that you can do to change what's going on in your community and change what's going on in the country. I understand that. But let's not act like it's not important. Because if it wasn't so important, why would there be so many laws and restrictions and rules that's trying to stop you from voting? And then when it comes to this whole lesser of two evils rhetoric and the memes that come across that I've been noticing since the last presidential election, where you try to create this argument that both of the two major party candidates are so terrible, you shouldn't vote for either of them. And as much as I want to say as much as that might make sense to some people, doesn't it also seem like the idea behind like reverse psychology? To me, it sounds like reverse psychology of like, I don't have to keep Like, I'm sick and tired of making all these new rules of trying to stop you from voting. So I'd rather make you believe your vote doesn't even count, so you won't even bother voting. Like, all I have to do is make sure you won't bother voting, so that way my vote is the only one that mattered. Like, that's all. Like, it just seems like some type of weird reverse psychology thing going on whenever I see those type of things, and it irks me in a type of ways. I'm like, why are you trying to stop me from voting? Like, what you afraid of? And especially me being a black person in America, I understand that there are people who have come before me. There's people who have lost their lives just for me to have this right, because we didn't always have this right. So I understand that, you know, to some people they look at it as a right, and for me as a black person it's almost like a privilege, because it's like we didn't always have access to this shit. And just to keep it a buck with y'all, I didn't start really caring about voting until like my late 20s, to be honest with y'all. And I'll just give y'all a piece of information of a personal story for me. I registered for voting when I was 18. And when I registered for voting, and you had to pick what party you want to register under, I picked independent because I did not know enough information about both parties to say that I aligned with either or. And I was 18. I wanted to be rebellious. I'm like, ooh, you can't put me in a box. Like, that's just me being a stupid 18-year-old. I also found out that in New York that I cannot participate in the primaries, whether it be Republican or Democratic, because I am not a part of their party. So because I'm not part of their parties, I cannot participate in their primaries. When I found out, I was like, I don't like that. Anybody who's just recently registered for voting and doesn't know that much about voting, and you know you want to encourage people to vote, I also want to encourage people to be an informed voter. So I know there's not much time left before election day, but I encourage you all to go to, there's websites out there like who'sonyourballot.org, where that way you can pull up your zip code and they'll tell you what your ballot will look like. So you see all the different things that you're voting for, and that way you get to see all the different nominees in those voting categories, and you get to see their websites, their stances on, you get to see their campaign websites, and you can get all this information on these people who you can possibly vote for, so that way you get to decide that you vote for people who fit your values. I'm not gonna argue about all the other stuff. I'll give those opinions after the election when it's safe. There's so many different things that I could go into when it comes to voting, but just ultimately, voting's important. Look up the candidates on who fits your values, vote for those people, and hold them accountable whenever they're in power. If you don't want to vote, don't criticize what's happening in the country, because you're not doing anything about it. So it's hard to complain about something you're not participating in. If you want to have willful ignorance, that's your choice. I'm not, you know, that's your choice. So you have to sleep with that. But there's people out there who probably could benefit from you voting. So you have to understand that voting is your responsibility to take care of your country. It's like, so you should, I don't want to say you should care, but you know, there's probably people less privileged than you who could benefit from that. So until then, I have to edit this because this is way longer than I intended it to be, because it's been months since I've been in front of a camera. I'll see y'all in a few weeks.